All right, everybody, welcome to Reality's Breakdown. Tonight, we are going to be exploring the expanding Earth hypothesis, also explored as expanding Earth theory. And I'll discuss why I call it the hypothesis rather than theory. So, tonight it is myself, the belligerent atheist, and we have Matt, the apoplectic atheist. All right, so don't forget to stick around for the Atheist Spotlight near the end of the show. Tonight, I, the belligerent atheist, will be hosting. So let's get into it. So the expanded Earth hypothesis, the reason I call it the hypothesis and not the theory, even though the theory is the major, that's what it's called, its major name online. You can Google it while we're talking about it right now if you'd like. Is that there is not enough evidence to support it. So I don't want to use the word theory and then confuse everyone with a theory versus the hypothesis, because theory is often misused. So it's going to be the expanding Earth hypothesis. All right, so what this is about is the Earth is growing as a result of the expansion of the seafloor. So supposedly the continental drift does not account for the outlines of the continents, and if the Earth were 20% smaller, South America and Africa would fit together like puzzle pieces. And actually what I'll do is I will copy this and I'll screen share this this video. You're not going to get any audio off of it, but I'll screenshot the video of it just so you can kind of see it real quick. All right, so there we go. Now we will speed this up a little bit. You can see here that the Earth, it's going in reverse right now. It is shrinking, and it's showing how the Earth decreasing in size, how all the continents would fit together. Now, at that point, the Earth is 20% smaller, and you can see that there are lakes and other large bodies of water, even some rivers, but Earth is one landmass. And then we can skip forward, and you can see as the continents drift apart, that is because the expanding seafloor at all the fault lines, the seafloor is actually expanding, and then water is actually coming above the surface. And here it is again, just from the South Pole view, decreasing back down to land, going back in time. And then we can see one contiguous body of land, and then from the South Pole expanding back outward. Let's skip forward a little bit. Okay, so that is what I'm talking about, the expanding Earth hypothesis. So I'll close that video on my screen real quick and go back. All right, so there are three sub-hypotheses as to how this could have happened. Number one, the planet's mass remained constant, and with the increase in surface area, surface gravity decreased. This would mean that the radius from the center of the Earth, from the core outward, increased, and surface gravity would then decrease. That's how they're justifying that. The second one is the planet's mass has increased. There's no evidence given as to where this extra mass came from, but that is one hypothesis. And then the third one is the gravitational constant of the universe has changed, changing the size of Earth. That is by far the most ridiculous one out of all three, because we can actually look back in time using X-ray, and we can actually observe multiple facets and attributes of the universe to include gravity and gravitational constant. So the problems that I have with this hypothesis is we have satellites and lasers that can measure plate movement and show speed to back up plate tectonics. When you observe that movement, you can reverse calculate that movement back to when the continents were together, and that does not include a shrinking planet. going back in time. The fossil record backs up plate tectonics and their predicted geological strata. The fossil record backs up plate tectonics. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And there's no observable positive evidence that the Earth is expanding. We can continue to view the Earth from space and view that the Earth is not expanding. Another issue that I have is there are no address to issues such as where did the mass come from if it increased, if and how gravity changed, and the Earth's density. So if this mass did come from somewhere, was it asteroids, was it meteors, did we collide with another object, and if so, how does that fit in? Because if the Earth were expanding and the Earth floor was expanding, allowing water that was trapped underneath the surface to come through, first off, water is not compressible. So we would have to actually gain pockets of open space in order to make this possible. Maybe they're actually wrapping this in with the hollow Earth theory. I don't know. Maybe the Earth expanded and now there's a hollow center. I just don't see how this can work. I mean, how would an expanding Earth even fit in with the developing solar system? If Earth were to be an expanding planet, surely other planets would expand as well. I mean, if that was a standard in our universe and the Earth were to continue to expand, why the fuck would other planets not expand as well? We could actually observe this. We could observe Mercury either decreasing or increasing in mass. We could, I mean, they say that the Goldilocks zone has possibly shifted over the history of for life as we know it. So if Mars at once had life, had an atmosphere, and was a lot more like Earth, why wouldn't it have started decreasing? Or why would we not see a much larger increase? How would the orbits of the planets in our solar system not account for expanding planets? Why would they not be altered? Why would that not show? I don't know. Does that make sense, Matt? I mean...
Yeah. This is...
it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, this is ridiculous.
I want to start with the video, since that's kind of where we started. Especially that I mean, the whole thing was animated, but the one that looked more like cartoon drawn. The way the continents came together, the shapes were like molding and deforming. So it's like you could have made any shape mold into that. Like, it's such a horrible rendition. I don't know if you noticed that, but like the shapes were like twisting and shrinking and growing. You could start with all squares and mold them in like that. You know what I'm saying? So that was just not convincing whatsoever. And I mean, yeah, the continents locked together. We know, like, what was it called, Pangea or whatever? They were all pretty much almost, one whole mass at some point. So anyhow, in your notes, I was looking over. I'm not sure if I heard you say this, but the fact that our mountain ridges are created when two plates come together like this, right? Did you mention that?
No, I haven't mentioned that yet. I was probably going to sprinkle some of that stuff throughout, but I'm glad that you read it and you're bringing it up, because that's another problem. But go ahead.
Yeah, so essentially we know that is how big mountain ranges are formed. Two plates come together like this and lift up. We know it. We can see that on this side of the mountain, you can see the striations or whatever of different layers of time, and that's how it ties into our fossil research and whatnot. We can use this model that we have now to predict where certain fossils will be in those timelines and those striations in the rocks, and it works. It's tested and proven. But if you were expanding, then you would think that those mountains would be moving apart, since we have clearly shown that these are separate tectonic plates. Our mountains would be shrinking, right? I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking in that. What do you know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
No, I don't disagree, but let's give it to them. Let's say that the Earth is expanding. Okay, that there are, like you had mentioned about the Alps. You didn't mention the Alps specifically, but the Alps and the Himalayas are two amazing examples of tectonic plates colliding and forming the mountain ranges you talked about. And like you said, we can go in, we can look at geological strata. We can look at the Grand Canyon to view strata. And this is my opinion. And granted, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert. I'm a person with a lot of questions and a lot of opinions. But if we were an expanding planet, why would we have more than one strata? Why would we have more than one layer of Earth? And why would there be fossils sprinkled throughout all the different layers? Number one. Two, how would we be able to, using the record that we have, actually predict new species? We've predicted species that we only hypothesized of, but we were able to geologically pinpoint their location, and I cannot remember the name, so you're going to have to forgive me, but they discovered a new species in Newfoundland. It was last year, actually. They discovered a new species in Newfoundland. It was a swamp-faring species, and they predicted its location. Never seen anywhere else on Earth. And they were able to predict the location of the species just based on plate tectonic movement, Pangea, and where this fossil would have been, provided that our information was correct. And it was 100% fucking accurate. 100%.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me they found Swamp Thing?
Yeah, it was some like
dude,
weird.
They found Swamp Thing, dude.
Yeah, I hear next
awesome.
is like next is Bigfoot.
All right, nice. All right, see. Wait, okay? Okay. Going back to let's giving him the benefit of the doubt. I was thinking that as you were talking, I'm like, okay, so let's think of how this could actually be working, because you touched on the mass and whatever. I mean, there's all, you know what I mean, mass, volume, whatever, density, I don't know what the hell. So, like, how could this actually work? And I was thinking, like, I wonder if anybody threw out there that, like, inside the center of our Earth is, like, a one end of a wormhole or whatever. Like, what's on the other side of a black hole? I think, is that called a wormhole, or is that I don't know. So, like, you know how black holes are sucking in mass and then they go somewhere we don't know what's on the other side? What if inside of our Earth is the other side of the black hole and it's ejecting mass? But clearly that doesn't make sense because it would just be exploding because there would be so much mass coming out. But I wonder if that's part of one of their theories. Did you hear anything on that?
Not specifically related to this. Now, if you want to know what the individuals that believe that the Earth grew to this day, and I'm not just bringing up some archaic shit. I'm not bringing up something that some asshole 2,000 years ago believed. No, I'm actually bringing up things that this is a topic that people today. 2015 still believe this. They're called the Growing Earth Consortium.
But what do they say is causing it? Do they just have guesses, a handful of guesses, or do they actually like lay out what they definitely think it is?
The video that I showed you is the graphical representation of how they think, how their best guess is that it happened. But I looked on their website and I did some pretty extensive research online in regards to this topic, and I cannot see any insurmountable evidence as to how they believe that this happened. I mean, let's just take it to some of the basic laws of nature. Let's take it back to one of the forces that permeates all dimensions that we know of, and that's gravity. So if Earth's mass was 50% what it is now, let's say, going back in time, we had to shrink the Earth 50% of its mass, or just 50% smaller, just to push all the continents together, it would have some magnitude much greater than its current surface gravity due to density and relative distance to the core. Now, I'm not going to spout off any numbers there. I have seen numbers, but I haven't verified them. So I know that, somewhere around the magnitude of 9 meters per second, 8 point blah, blah, blah meters per second is current gravity, and I saw 39.9 meters per second was the figure that I saw on Rational Wiki, but I was not able to verify it through math. So let's just say it was 50% what it is now. It would have a much greater surface gravity than now. We can say just magnitudes above. So if that was the case and the Earth was expanding to give us our current surface gravity, that the surface gravity at a 50% Earth would crush humans. It would completely destroy us. We would not be able to survive. And that's not even to mention larger creatures such as some of the dinosaurs. You know, we have creatures that we've aged in the fossil record, you know, back millions of years. If that were the case, those creatures would not have been able to survive given the surface gravity was so high. And that's just like math and physics and stuff. So I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I don't know their timeline that they have on that, and they could be claiming that life came a lot later as the gravity was weakened. I wonder. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The gravity would be like, it would just be a dense little ball of like 4 times the gravity. It'd be crazy. But I don't know if they claim that life existed then. But I just thought of something. So thinking back to that time period, smaller, denser Earth, at what point was the moon created, and do they believe that the moon is also growing? But in that aspect, it ties back to another thing you were mentioning, was the effect on the local solar system. I mean, you were talking about gravity, and that's what I want to talk about, gravity. So maybe they're claiming that the gravity of our solar system or the rest of the universe is pulling the Earth outwards. So I guess I kind of have two things there. I wonder if that's part of what they're thinking, and also what do they claim caused the moon? Do you know anything on that?
They're not. They're not claiming anything. I mean, they don't have a lot of information at all. They have a very basic, and that's why I call it the hypothesis, because they don't have, it's not even a very deeply developed hypothesis. I don't see any evidence. I've looked on the Growing Earth Consortium, and I can't see a lot of information. So I know as far as a takedown, it's already taken down. That which is proposed without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. So I've already dismissed it. But I mean, like I was saying before, if Earth was growing, and that was just a standard property of planet formation, I don't see how our orbit could be in the place that it is. Like you said, I don't see, even if they considered the possibility of us trapping the moon, I don't see how we could have done it. If the Earth was continuing to grow and the moon was not a growing object, a growing solar system body, and I don't even see how we could have captured it. So I just don't get it. And if Earth is the only planet that is growing, I want to know why. And they haven't said that, but I don't see, you know, why is Earth growing and why is other planets not growing? They haven't professed any religiosity with this hypothesis that any one god is particularly manipulating this planet to make it grow. They're just saying that we've grown. And with such an intense gravity at a 50% smaller or 20% or 30 or 40% smaller Earth, I don't see how the RNA sequencing and how the amino acids could have even come together under such circumstances to even bond and form. If gravity was that much larger, I don't see how amino acids would have been able to form together even under a bolt of lightning strike in one puddle on the planet's surface. I don't see how life could have formed.
Well, I mean, you rambled off the numbers, and I thought I caught that it was only 4 times greater, which I think, I don't know, we'd have to look at it, but if it's only 4 times greater, I think it's still possible. I mean, because you're talking about like microscopic things. I don't think they're quite as affected by gravity. Does that make sense?
I mean, no. Like gravity kind of affects all matter in a very similar way. Amino acids are not quantum-sized objects; they're not the size of neutrinos. So,
Well, I mean,
this,
it's been proven that some bacteria can live in the vacuum of space with no gravity. I would imagine it could go the other way. Think of all the organisms living at the bottom of the ocean, how much pressure is on those. I mean, that's way more than 4 times our gravity, you know?
well, I mean,
So what I'm
water.
saying is,
Sorry,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
I can envision. I mean, that could even be an argument that they have is like amino acids could have only been created in that much pressure because for some reason it forced them together somehow. I don't know.
I understand you're playing devil's advocate. It just doesn't seem like a very solid argument. No, it just I know, and there, man, the Earth's surface is composed of 2/3 water. So in order for land mass as it sits to even come together and be one contiguous object with very little water, we would have to be 1/3 of the size. Just in surface area. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just this growing Earth consortium, and here's another person that believes it. If you want to look him up, it's Neil Adams, Neal Adams. He's the comic book artist of Superman and Batman. He's part of the. He's the one that modernized their looks and brought them more into the modern era, and he believes that the Earth is expanding and that all of science is conspiring against the growing Earth theory / hypothesis and must conform to this idea. So he's saying that all of science must conform to that idea, and they're all conspiring against science. So you can look up Neil Adams, Growing Earth, or Growing Earth Consortium to see what they believe if you want to look it up further. But
Yeah, I'll have to look into it some more.
yeah, I mean, I've looked at it. They're making claims with no evidence, really, is what it is.
Yeah, it's clearly, I mean, idiotic. So, sorry, you stated that this is kind of old, but it's also there's a lot of people still believe in it. So, was there an actual time frame of when this first came about, this idea, or no? Like, did this predate our, I don't know, like flat Earth or something like that? Is there like another thing?
I mean, the growing Earth hypothesis, I don't know the exact year. I do know that this idea came about before we had a firm grip on the idea of plate tectonics. I can tell you that. So we had kind of plate tectonics as a hypothesis that we were using evidence to explore further. But we have insurmountable evidence now. So this might have been just a footnote at the end of someone's paper somewhere, way back, and now. But I mean, it's still, people still believe it. I know that there are people naive. There are naive people out there, and there are people that are willfully ignorant that want to believe things just to believe them. I don't know if it's because it makes them different, or they were convinced by someone, or someone's making money off of this. I guess.
I'd imagine.
But I guess my whole conclusion to this thing is it's easy to fall victim to invalidated and false scientific theories. People do it all the time, and it boils down to the credibility of the sources and what experts and their peers in the scientific community say about the information. I mean, verifiable, testable, and observable evidence is the best evidence to look at, and looking at the big picture and piecing things together is important, and verifying all the information you are using can maintain intellectual integrity. Drawing your own conclusions from information is great, and it's a great way to provoke thought in others. But state you're doing so. A lot of people just share things on social media, on all the social media platforms, and they'll just share anything moving forward, like anything from spirit science and all that. They'll just share whatever, and I know that's another episode. We're going to take care of that, that individual topic, but I mean, we just need to be careful on what we share out there without adding our own opinion or without saying something about it first. I like the idea of this, blah, 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 that kind of thing. But, I mean, it's really easy for people to fall victim to this stuff. Just believe anything or want to believe for one reason or another. But we need to look at not just one person saying, but everybody. That's my opinion.
So here's my question. What's worse, believing in expanding Earth or all of those people who think that the United States birthday is 2,000 years, or the Earth's birthday was 2,015 years. You know what I'm saying? What's worse, expanding Earth or that?
I would say that probably believing that the Earth is 6,000 years old based on a biblical text that they use to oppress people is probably a lot worse than just an expanding Earth theory. Since this expanding Earth isn't religiously based, it's just, from everything that I've seen, it's just people that don't accept plate tectonics. That is fact. So, I mean, that is just my opinion. What do you think? What do you think is worse? The 6,000 year Earth, or the...
I guess I was trying to make a comparison to just general ignorance to actually almost actively being deceived. I don't know. Like, there's the people who just don't know what I don't know, whatever. There's people who are just ignorant, and there's people who are being actively deceived. It's kind of like that video I shared with you earlier, where a quote from this video from this rapper is, he says, you were lied to about God until you started lying to yourself about him. You know what I mean? It's like there's the active deceived, and then there's people who are just ignorant. So I don't know which is worse, but
I mean, religion, and the reason why we created this show and our own channels, just because it is self-deprecating. So it's easy to get sucked into the hope aspect, and then you just spiral downhill from there. It's also easy to, it's easy to not just cast those ideas out on others, but to oppress people using those ideas and to proliferate that ignorance and use it to make money. And it's that kind of stuff that really grinds my gears, so to speak. That's kind of why I created my channel, and I know that's why you created, you and Buck created Nectar Nation and everything, and why Guy in a Wheelchair created his, and a bunch of other of us have created our channels, is just because there's so many people that are taken advantage of and used as pawns in a holy war. So I mean, it's important to me to bring stupid shit like this up all the time, and to really to hunker down and to dig in and show what is and what isn't dumb about it, or what is or isn't viable and why it's not substantial, because this content needs to be put out there to everybody, to anyone that's willing to look at it, to watch it and to hear it. Proliferating why those things are ignorant, to me, is very important. That's why I keep doing it. That's why I brought this up tonight, because there are people out there that would try to indoctrinate others into this fucking belief. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, I don't know. I have to look into it more,
There isn't really much to look into, man. It's basically just a bunch of claims and nothing to support it.
Like you were saying, like, somebody's probably making money off it. I mean, I can understand if it's just pure ignorance. Like, I don't understand how anything works, so this seems like an alright idea. But clearly they're making these videos about it, and it seems like they have some type of something going on behind the scenes, and I just don't understand why. But yeah,
I mean, people want to scam other people over anything.
I guess it's just a conspiracy theory type thing, right? Where it's like I think you hit on it earlier, where you're saying, like, people. How did you phrase it? Something about how, like, people want to feel like they know something and other people's don't, or that they feel like, you know what I mean, they're in on something, or they're oppressed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they want to feel like they know something that other people don't, and they want to use that to scam other people and to bring them together in a sense of community where they feel like they're special. Everyone wants to feel special.
I think that's the main thing behind this. Yeah.
Everyone wants to feel like they get something and they're on the in crowd and they're special. And I mean, everyone is special for a whole bunch of different reasons. You don't need to believe something that's fucking stupid in order to be special.
I would agree.
All right. Well, I think we pretty much talked this shit to death. You want to move on to our weekly scripture, our absurdity of the week, if you will?
Yeah, sure. Are we doing a news story? I don't think we have one, do we?
No, I hadn't prepared one. Do you have
Yeah.
one you want to cover?
Do I? I don't know. I thought there was something. I'll try to think of it. If I think of something, then I'll come up with it. But I want to share my shirt.
Share your shirt. That's our current event for the week. We'll talk about your shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, we should talk about the debate, man. That's
Oh,
what.
man,
That's probably.
that's
what I
a
wanna
whole
share.
fucking episode by itself. The debate.
Yeah. I will touch on it real quick, but yeah, I got a Bernie Sanders shirt, you guys. My wife got it for me. I'm pretty stoked. But yeah, I wanted to talk about how the whole just real quick, I want to say like how the whole CNN thing, how they were claiming that Hillary won, but like every poll, it's basically the internet versus CNN, like everywhere on the entire internet, even CNN's own page, Bernie Sanders won the debate, but they're advertising on their channel on TV saying that Hillary won. It's fucking ridiculous, dude.
Well, I saw an article, and I didn't really get too far into it, so you probably know more about that than I do. But I did see an article on how they said they didn't take that poll down. I do have screenshots of it, of the actual poll from
Yeah, people have
CNN
gotten
on their app.
screenshots of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've seen that poll, and I've seen almost every single website, claim that Bernie won. And I haven't read the articles on why CNN thought that Hillary won, so you might want to talk more about that. But I do know that there was an article that CNN posted that they didn't take the poll down. They were reviewing the information differently, and they said that Hillary won because she was much more confident and presentable. Even though from me watching the debate, I saw the first hour of that debate as Hillary getting destroyed, fucking obliterated on foreign policy and gun control. She was just fucking annihilated. I don't see how anyone thought that she even came out on top after that. She got destroyed on foreign policy. Benghazi, the fucking Iraq War, every single politician there except Bernie. Bernie was the only one that didn't actually slam anyone else. But she was just every single Webb, Chaffee, the other guy I can't remember off the top of my head, probably shouldn't be in the race anymore if no one can remember his name. So those three guys all said. Well, Bernie said that the going to Iraq was the worst foreign policy decision that we've ever made, and everyone else kind of said something similar. But they just destroyed her on foreign policy. So I don't know if you want to talk more about like the CNN stuff or
No,
I don't know a lot about that.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it either. I just know like what happened, and that CNN is like basically got this like cover up. But I heard it claimed it's because I don't know, they're one of her backers or something like that. Technically through some backroom dealings, whatever the hell's going on. But yeah, man, I think Bernie is like amazing. And like, dude, how convenient she got center stage. Like, are you kidding me? They even mentioned it in the debate. It's like they said like she drew the lucky straw or something. I don't know about that, man. Like, I want to see what happens next time, where she is next time. But
the position of the podium to me doesn't indicate a winner. They did put her center stage, but I don't see that she won at all. Bernie was steadfast in all his opinions. First off, she was the best scripted on the stage. I'll say that. She had all of her answers down to the T, but it sounded scripted. It sounded rehearsed. All of those things. Bernie spoke mostly from the cuff on just what he believed and how he believed it. And he even said he wasn't going to slam preparing for the debate because he knew how he felt over the last 40 fucking years and being a senator.
Yeah, we can go into all these details, but like I think Penn Sunday School summed it up best. He was talking about this. He said like Hillary is amazing at memory. She can remember all her scripts and everything, and it's like that's why these debates don't like you don't go there to find a good debater. Like the president doesn't need to be a good debater. You go there to see where people stand on things. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. And like just because she can remember everything, that skill doesn't help anything as a president. And they were saying on Penn Sunday School that like they should what it should be is they have the president up there. They're allowed to pick 2 people to go up there with them, and they're given questions, and they're allowed to use any resources possible to answer these or find solutions to problems, because it's a lot more representative of what a president would actually be doing. But it's kind of funny. You have to check that out. But what was I gonna say? I don't know. So I just wanted to touch on the whole like CNN kind of saying she won and everybody else saying she didn't kind of thing, because it just pisses me off, dude. Bernie's the best, so whatever.
Well, I mean, Bernie's the only one really worth voting for. He's the only politician standing out there actually for the people. I mean, Hillary's great at, changing her script around to match what people she's talking to and who she's talking to, and then she just says that she changes her mind like any other person. When I mean, we could say one way or another. I don't know for sure, but it just seems like every time we turn around, she's, different. She's
just claiming she's growing or learning or whatever. It's like, no. Whatever. All right, we got to move on, but yeah, feel the burn.
Yeah, right. Hashtag feel the burn. Feel the burn, motherfucker. All right, so let's go on to our. You have a weekly absurdity, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
cool.
I'll just let people know we're kind of trying to figure out something else to do with the wheel. I basically ran out of scriptures. I'm trying to figure out a new idea. I think we're on to something here. So for right now, I'm not going to pull the wheel out because I didn't print the stuff out, and I wasn't sure how we're going to do it, but I'm pretty sure we are going to be using, if you guys want to follow along at home, we're going to be using the Skeptics Annotated Bible website. It's skepticsannotatedbible.com, and there is a section called Absurdities in the Bible. I think that's a pretty good place to start. We're just going to be, I'm going to put these absurdities on the wheel and talk about them, but I kind of like this way a little bit better because not only does it give us scriptures to look at, but it kind of gives a summarization as to why they're absurd as you go through it. So just for sort of topical scripture, and to make it easy, I'm going to choose the first one on the list, and it pertains to the creation of light and darkness. So this absurdity covers God creates light and separates light from darkness and day from night on the first day. Yet he didn't make the light-producing objects, being the sun and stars, until the 4th day. And I'll go ahead and read the scripture on that. Okay. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. So how could there be the evening and the morning on the first day if there was no sun to mark them, basically? And this kind of goes on. It's just an absurdity.
No, I agree. But God can do whatever God wants, and because God said so, man. That's just how it works. No, you're right. Genesis is just full of all kinds of crazy shit. But no, there cannot. How can there be a morning, and how can there be an evening without there being a sun and an earth and an axis and rotation and an orbit to even make a fucking morning and an evening?
Yeah.
Morning and evening is not a fucking universal constant, I think that's the same amount. That's the same period of time where we believed the Earth was the center of the universe. So it's easy to see that and draw the line scientifically, or I won't even say scientifically. I'm going to say logically. It's easy to make a logical line between Earth being center of the universe and there being evening and morning without there being planet or sun or whatever, because you can think of light as just this mystical fucking mysterious thing just floating around and shit, But we know that is false, and I don't even think I need to say any more than that.
I don't get to divide the light from the darkness. I don't know, man. Like, they're not lights. They're celestial bodies, and it's like, what does it mean? Divide the light from the darkness? Is the night the darkness, or is the firmament the darkness? Or
the morning and the day and the night is the light and the darkness. So around that period of time, they would have divided, and in their head, they would have said, well, yeah, of course, God divided the lightness and the darkness because He created light, and He had to separate that which is light from that which is dark. So, in their head, I can see how a 5-year-old nowadays could come to that conclusion, but I don't see how a reasonable adult can just look at that and ignore a spherical Earth rotating. I don't know. I mean, I guess you just believe that God did it because God is all-powerful and He can do whatever He wants, but, I mean, I don't see how that could be created.
This is awesome, dude. I'm glad we did this. So, okay, sorry. So, as I was reading these, they have highlighted sections, like if they're yellow highlighted sections. Then on the right, they go into more detail about how even it's like an absurdity inception. So it says the stars and whatnot, stars in the heavens are to let them be for signs and for seasons and for days. But the signs part is highlighted and says, God placed the sun, moon, and stars in the firmament so they can be used for signs. This, of course, is exactly what astrologers do. Read the signs in the zodiac to predict what will happen on Earth. And then the Bible actually says that, let's see. Yeah, so basically, the Bible is condemning astrology, but it created them for signs. I don't know, so it even goes even deeper. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Bible condemns witchcraft and wizardry, and yet there's plenty of magic going on in the Bible. So,
yeah.
All
right, so that's what we're working on now. That's going to be the new thing.
Yeah, that's going to be
we'll iron it out.
Yeah, we'll continue to work on it, and we'll get it set in stone. But yeah, as Matt was saying, we're probably going to move closer in this direction, and then we'll use Skeptics. Skeptics Annotated Bible is fucking amazing. It is nothing short. It is nothing short of amazing. You can just go up to the search bar and type any keyword. You can look up. I used Skeptics Annotated Bible when I made my God Hates Girls parody. That's exactly what I used, and I put that in the description below the video. But yeah, man, fucking Skeptics Annotated Bible is amazing. If you don't have something memorized, but you know what's fucked up, you can just type that shit into the search bar, and you hit search, and it'll bring up all the verses in the Bible that pertain to abortion. Or like, you wouldn't use abortion, you use like miscarriage, or you would use stoning. You could type in stoning and hit search, and it'll pull up every verse related to that, and you can click on that verse, and it'll take you to the context, so people can't be like, oh, yeah, context. No, the fucking context is right there. Pull it right up on your phone and be like, how is this context? You can put your phone. Let me see. Yep. Here's a phone. You can put your phone up and be like, here's the fucking context. Read it. All right.
This is awesome.
So yeah, man, Skeptics Annotated Bible is the shit. So I guess you want to move on to our Atheist Spotlight?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it up. All right, so I'm going to pull this up on the screen. I just got my attention just got turned to, I was going to say it the other way. My attention just got turned to this individual. She is a YouTuber, and we're going to highlight her on the right-hand side of the Heretic Clerics channel, just per normal. Her channel is called The Bible and Other Fairy Tales. Okay, so she has some comedy here, but mostly music. She's a songwriter, musician. You can see her playing the harp right here. It's a harp.
Oh, that's cool. My wife plays the harp.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Probably get your wife playing the harp sometime. So, like, she has songs here, The Psychotic Savior, she has a little bit of comedy thrown in here, Crazy Crackpot Creationism, Psychic or Psycho, we have God Awful God of the Gaps, I mean, I checked out a couple of her tunes. She has a beautiful voice, a lot of tone and depth to it. The harp is on point, and she's just fucking awesome. So we're going to highlight her on the Heretic Clerics channel. It's going to be on the right-hand side under Atheist Spotlight. She's going to be our top spotlight for the week. You can go back through and look at all of our other spotlights if you'd like for archive purposes, so you can check them out. We'll be subscribing to her. But no, she is awesome, man. I mean, it's just a lot of great stuff there, and I just got told about her last week, so I wanted to spotlight her. But really, really good stuff, though.
So is it just her on the harp all the time, or does she?
Yeah, it's her. No, it's her in the videos. She does have comedy on there. Like, if you go back a little bit, you can see No Answers in Genesis. It's a comedy, a little comedy kind of skit, a little comedy section on, instead of Answers in Genesis, Ken Ham's little site that, that he proliferates his scam on to get money for museums and take people's money. But she has Alien Abduction Therapy comedy, God of the Gaps comedy. So she has some comedy skits on there where the harp isn't there. But no, but her songs, for me, I love all of her videos. I've checked them out. But the songs are definitely what I'm most interested in right now. Maybe I'll get her to do like a parody with me or something, a collab. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so this week is the Bible and Other Fairy Tales is the channel. On Twitter, her name on Twitter, I think, is Linda Beatty, but you can find her from the Bible and Other Fairy Tales. She actually has a link to her Twitter there. Her handle is @LindaBeatty. So, but. All right, tonight we talked a little bit about Bernie, feeling the burn, a little bit of the Dem debate. We obliterated the expanding Earth hypothesis, which wasn't that difficult. We just dismissed something that without evidence necessary, that was presented without evidence, kind of a Hitchens thing. New Skeptics, Annotated Bible cited segment, our weekly absurdity, if you will. And then we talked about the Bible and Other Fairy Tales and why she is awesome and what I love about her stuff and what she does in her Twitter and her YouTube. She also has a website, thebibleandotherfairytales.com. You can see that. Those links are all on her YouTube, and she'll be spotlighted on the right-hand side. Did you have any closing comments, Matt?
No, I don't think so, but thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, everyone, on behalf of the Heretic Clerics, I want to say thank you for watching, and deuces.